Member of Congress, I can find out more information about what the CIA is doing than what the FOMC is doing, the central bank, what they're doing on monetary policy. That's very, very secretive. The Federal Reserve has been given the power and the authority to create money out of thin air.
The way it works, the Federal Reserve, which is neither federal nor has reserves, it's a private corporation, and you can see this by going to their website and you go to the frequently asked questions. The first question is the Federal Reserve private? And they make their answer very obscure. If you read between the lines, it basically says, well, no, but maybe yes, but sort of no, but really yes, but definitely not. That's what it says. Then, second question, does the Federal Reserve have stockholders? Answer, yes, and by law they are paid a 6% dividend. And it couldn't be more clear. So in the answer to the second question lies the answer to the first. There is no federal agency that has stockholders. If it's got stockholders, it's private. It's that simple. But the way they create currency, the Treasury creates a pretty piece of paper with some ink on it called a bond, and that's basically an IOU. They're going to borrow something from somebody, and it says IOU, whatever I'm borrowing, plus interest over 30 years at such and such percentage. The Federal Reserve then opens up their big old checkbook that has a zero balance in it. They're broke. There's nothing there. It's 0.00 is the balance. And they write a check for that $100, or in the case of today, trillions, but they write that check and hand that to the Treasury, and when they give that to the Treasury, that currency springs into existence. The Treasury then deposits that into the various branches of the government, and the government throws a few wars, does some deficit spending, what we call pork barrel spending in the United States on things like a bridge to nowhere and stuff like that. And then it eventually ends up in government employees' hands, in the contractors' hands, and so on, and gets deposited into private banks. And then comes the miracle of fractional reserve banking. Say for every $10 that you deposit in your checking account, each country will have its own reserve ratios, but in the United States for years we had a 10% reserve ratio on checking accounts. They deposit it into a checking account. The bank is allowed to loan out. If you deposit 10, they're allowed to loan out 9. And that gets loaned usually to somebody that's buying something. They're buying a house. They're going to sign a mortgage. That's how they're borrowing the money. They're signing this mortgage. They take that $9, they buy the house, and that's going to get deposited into the checking account of the seller of the house. And then, since that's in a checking account under a 10% reserve ratio, they get to loan out 90% of that, which gets redeposited, 90% of that, which gets redeposited, and so on. And for every $10, it creates $100 of brand new currency through fractional reserve banking. And that's actually where most of the currency supply comes from.
The fractional reserve thing, if in the old days, anybody wanted to borrow any money, you had to go to the bank and borrow it from the people who were saving money.
Yeah.
Nobody does that anymore. People aren't saving much to start with, and the money you borrow from a bank does not come from the savers. It comes from the bank, as you say, creating it on the spot when you sign your name to the loan document. It's created on the spot. One of the things I've been ragging about is the reserves in the banks. Reserves in the banks have not increased a dime in 10 years. It's the same $41 billion. There's $41 billion of reserves in the banks against how many trillions?
Just 7% of our money supply has a 10% reserve. So that means 0.7% of cash in existence to cover the other, what is that, 99.3%.
It's insane.
Of the money supply.
That's right, that's right. So you talk about fractional reserve. There's no fractional reserve. What's
Right.
a fraction?
There's nothing there.
There's nothing there. 1 cent on $1 million is not much of a fractional reserve.
Right.